folks, and welcome to another episode of Will's Review. I'm your host, Will D. And today, I figured I'd start off with something that's been irking me. Because there's a lot that's been happening in the news, and I mean, especially since COVID started, it seems like there's something new popping up every day. But something that's been bothering me is the fact that, especially here in New York, but we're seeing it all over, their crime rates are going up, right? We have people, more shootings and stabbings than there have been in quite some time, all happening at once. I don't know what all the motivation is, but I don't know how you can have people asking to defund the police and police intervention and all this other stuff, but yet we're acting fools. Like, you're wondering why cops are aggressive, right? And we're calling the cops overly aggressive, this, and the third. But in the last month or so, when they've taken a step back for fear of their safety and as well as fear of losing their jobs, you're seeing a spike in crime, right? Now, I'm not saying that the cops don't need to be doing their job, but I often hear, and I was talking with a friend about this yesterday. We often hear that argument used about, well, why should people care about black lives if black people don't care about their lives, right? And I understand it, but you have to understand, too, that it's two separate conversations, right? And this is why you can't use that argument to invalidate Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was made in a sense to go against literally police brutality and excessive use of force and things like that against people who are meant to uphold laws, right? It's also meant to ask lawmakers to make more fair laws. So essentially, there are two parts of this conversation, right? The side of the conversation that's about the people who are in control of the situation, right? They're in control of creating and upholding the rules and holding them to a standard that makes things fair and equal for everyone, right? But there is a second conversation that need to be had. And more often than not, whoever's black and speaks out on this issue is no longer considered black. They're kicked out of the community. They're considered bad because black people need to be accountable, right? We need to be accountable for our actions. It's not one conversation that counterbalances the other. No. The law enforcement still needs to treat everyone equal. Be it excessive with everyone or fair with everyone, it needs to be across the board. A standard, right? Laws that are being made by congressmen and the president and stuff like that they need to be made to make the playing field equal, right? America's supposed to be a land of opportunity for all who are here. More so speaking to the citizenship, but that's a whole different ballgame touching on that mess as well. If you are an American, you should have an equal playing field to start on. Afterwards, by your own effort and merit, you will be successful or not successful. That's how that should be in theory, right? And that's what Black Lives Matter is about. Allowing minorities, and more specifically black people, but most social change that's been for black people has been advantageous for everyone. In fact, most of the conversation about black lives now has led to people talking about the LGBTQ movement. I don't know how that happened, but it's it's just a fact. So Black Lives Matter is about trying to put black people on equal footing with other races, right? Which will, in generally, the laws that would be developed allow everyone of every race an equal footing ground and hold cops accountable to treat everyone with the same level of civility as they treat white people. Black people, this is for you, and this is what's irking me. You can't ask for the cops to start treating us like humans if you're still acting like animals. You get what I'm saying? The shootings, the stabbings, the violence, they need to stop. All this is a roundabout because we saw George Floyd's, death pretty much projected all over the internet, right? His brother at his funeral, right? Someone who should be the maddest of all of us, right? His brother became a martyr, and his life was ended too soon because of the brutality. Asked you all to act responsibly, to act peacefully. A lot of the rioting at the beginning started by not black folk, but others who wanted to discredit the movement. Acting a fool now and asking cops to slow their roll, they don't add up together. We're talking 10 years down the line and things go spiral back the way they are. I'm not even saying that's cool, but if it happens, it happens. But at a point where we're asking for progress and respect, we got to treat each other with the same. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is just ridiculous. And that's what's been irking me. Because I'm reading one article on the left saying, oh, and now that these places are asking this out of cops to do less, and at the other time, on the next page, you're seeing, oh, 4 or 5 people shot, 36 wounded, and it's just like, but why? That doesn't add up. If we're getting progress here, why is this still happening? Why is this getting worse, right? And cops are not going to be intervening, right? Because right now is going to be the petty time. When you really need help and you call 911, they're going to look at who they're responding to, when they need to respond, and the response time is going to be really slow because they don't want to get involved in the situation. They're going to come and clean up the mess. That's what's going to happen. They're going to come and clean up the mess. Exactly. So you're gonna need to hold yourself accountable. We need to do better on our end, right? We're asking the government, we're asking the cops and whatever to give us a chance, right? Not really give us a chance, but give us what we're owed, right? Respect and equality. We're asking for that. But if and when we get it, what are we gonna do with it? That's the next question. That's that second conversation. We need to that whole the smart kid in the class gets ostracized. That doesn't make sense. You need to be glorified. You need to be reaching those goals. We see that in the Asian community, where 96 is failure. We need to have those same standards, right? That dude who wants to make it out the hood, we need to support him and help him start that business that maybe he can give back to the hood and help the next one get out. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to be doing. We talk about kings and queens and wealth and this, whatever, right? But a lot of what we glorify and talk about and hype up and stuff is not all positive. And the first step for us in fixing some of these numbers is changing that mentality. Yes, for years we've been taught there's not much we can do. Yes, for years we've had need for survival, but we have been unaware of the opportunity in front of us. We've been unaware of our voice, our power, and our capabilities. They've tried to blind us and hide us from us, right? Every time we've tried, they try to crush us. This is a time where now there's global support, right? Something that we've been asking for since, the First World War. Global support to hold the U.S. accountable for the things that it promised to everybody else but us. You get what I'm saying? We need to do better. We can't ask them to do better and not expect the same of ourselves. So before we go to our first commercial break, I'm asking you, do better. All right, Charles? When we come back, news and the rest.
As mighty armies clash in a struggle for total domination, the scales can be tipped by one man who has the courage to confront his fate and make a choice that will decide the fate of the world.
Guys put a lot of smoke in today. Wow. But anyway, we expecting a real superhero? I don't think so. The real life superheroes are the ones that are helping out in their community today. And the LDM show will be there to bring you the events and stories to life. Do you know a real superhero? Let us know. But for now, follow us on Instagram and Twitter and like us on Facebook. Also visit our websites for photos, videos, and updates. But until the meantime, hey, I gotta be out of here.
Hey everybody, I'm Lil D.
I am Javier Luis.
I'm Alex Polanco.
I'm Apollonia Cruz.
And I'm Kelly Kaboo.
I am Shirley Phil.
I am Emmanuel Anzule. Do you know 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence
During their lifetime.
And domestic violence and abuse can happen to anyone,
regardless of gender, race, or other factors?
2 out of 3 homicide cases are
Females who were killed by a family member or intimate partner.
As domestic violence victims, they face high rates of depression,
Sleep disturbances,
anxiety,
flashbacks, and other emotional distresses.
And without help, witnesses of domestic violence are more vulnerable to become abusers themselves.
Thus continuing the cycle of violence in the next generation.
Hello, I'm Charles Aloma. Join the LDM network and Safe Horizon and take a step into changing these facts. So if you are or know someone that is being abused, please call the City Domestic Hotline at 1-800-621-4673. So that is 1-800-621-HOPE.
Speak up.
Speak out.
and make a difference.
And just know that you don't have to deal with this alone. There is help.
All right, and we're back. So I'm gonna start off with a little bit of local news. Since we, that got a little deep. So something positive that happened is remember a little while ago I was talking about a white woman who lost her job because she had called the cops on a black man who she said was harassing her when all he was politely asking her to leash up her dog in a park that literally says leash your dogs. And his sister caught it all on tape. Well, now she's officially facing criminal charges for making a false claim on an African American individual who was literally asking her to uphold the rules of the park so he can watch some birds. Like, as nerdy as it gets, and now a real sense of compensation. So these laws are in effect. They have been after the George Floyd incident, and they seem to literally be working. So yay. She gonna go get into some problems. I'm happy about it. It's one Karen down, and a whole bunch more to go. Damn. It really should have been made years ago. And in all honesty, it's not the only one. Like I don't feel the false alarm law should be something that's only to if it happens to a black person. I feel that anyone found, and let me make this very clear, found to be making a false accusation, meaning that there was evidence, found against them, the investigation says that they were lying. Whoever put out a false claim on anything, if we're talking, harassment, assault, rape, anything, that person should serve the time that the other person they were accusing would have gotten. That's how I feel. And maybe will cause some people who like to run their mouths and be very petty to think before they act.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Great movie, by the way. But yeah, so that's the thing. There was also the Black Lives Matter symbol posted in front of Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. That happened. I know there was another marking of the BLM elsewhere, and there's a video going around online of two people who were trying to literally paint over it in black, the color of the street, and they're like, white people aren't racist in the thing, and they're just like, do you literally see what you're doing right now? Like everyone in the video is like, you can't be serious, right? So things like that are happening. I think that's actually pretty dope that they caught that on footage. Like, how stupid could you be? But last but not least, in the city that makes me very happy is that as of now, because things with this corona nonsense are almost daily, the High Line is supposed to reopen on the 16th, right? So that's 4 days from now. So anyone who's visiting New York, and all of us who are from New York, we will be able to walk along it soon. Still not 100% sure on all the shops being there, but frankly, I don't shop at them anyway because they're highly overpriced. So I'll just be happy to be able to do my walk along the High Line. I like to do it twice in the summer, so I'll get one in before August and one after August. It's just the best time to actually do it. Moving beyond that, there's been some major national news, which I find some of it has been humorous, and some of it is just like, why? Do we even need to talk about this? So, first is that this is something I heard happen in Kentucky. They have proposed a law that after any assault or shooting done by a cop, the cop will have to also undergo a drug test, right? Now, I was reading this article, and I was reading it around the time that my mom and I were having a conversation. So, of course, it came up in the conversation. And her first thing was, why? Like, what's that gonna do? I mean, 9 out of 10 times they're not high or drunk when they do this stuff. And when she said it, I was kind of just like, yeah, it makes sense. Because I read it and I asked myself, just like, why is this major news? Like, I thought that was part of things already, right? After a cop shoots somebody, they're supposed to undergo psych therapy and stuff like that. So I just figured this is part of the procedure from the beginning. But then again, you hear it's Kentucky, and you're kind of like, oh, maybe they just don't do it there. But no, so someone was literally explaining to me, it's just kind of the idea that if they committed a wrongdoing, they really can't say that there was anything wrong with them mentally, right? There's nothing in their system to distort them, whatever. They legitimately were in sound mind and body when they did whatever action to an individual. And it holds them fully accountable for whatever verdict ends up happening, right? They have to be accountable for what happened in the situation, and there's no doubt that can be assumed because they weren't in a messed up mental state. So I guess in that regard, it's something, but I still find it really silly because 9 out of 10 times, even just the camera alone, what cop do you know was on duty? On duty, not to say off duty, but on duty, in uniform, drunk or high? Usually. 9 out of 10 times. Let's just be real about it. We're not talking about that movie you saw on VH1 or some nonsense, or just like, or BET or some nonsense. Like, we're just like, who does that? So, I don't know. But you comment below. Let me know what you think about it. Somebody was really happy about this. I don't get why. But, again, supposedly it's that you can now hold them fully accountable. I would hold them fully accountable anyway, but, whatever. I know it's court, so you want to make sure you put the nail in the coffin, right? Another thing that happened, Colorado passed a bill that essentially holds cops accountable for all their actions, right? So the thing about this that I liked personally is that if the cops do not abide by these rules, they would face criminal charges automatically with the possibility of keeping their job, right? But, like, no, we're taking them to criminal court because now they're literally breaking these laws. But, in certain cases, there's, like, they may lose their license for a year and may have to, serve community service or something. Like, so it's technically criminal charges, but it could be misdemeanor. But it's holding them to some level of accountability. Like, there's a very light law, and then there's a much depending on the violation or what happens due to the violation, right? Like, if someone gets killed but the body cam isn't on, and they find out some other way, maybe, from the dash cam or someone else's body cam, that the person committed wrongdoing in the murder of an individual, that person now will be up for, serving life, and they've automatically lost their job. So I like that clause. So there are a couple different things in there. So one of them is that you have to have all cops, city and state, have to have body cams by 2023. All footage must be made public. They cannot shoot at people fleeing. This one can be a little messy. But all in all, I think is good because you see people running when they see the gun, but they're not armed themselves. And beforehand, in a lot of places, cops are taught to, shoot the leg, shoot the arm, but more often than not, shoot the chest because, if you aim for the center and it's the largest mass, you may miss and you'll get a leg or an arm or something to take them down. But that one, you can't shoot a fleeing suspect. And of course, that's not if they're armed. Like, if they have a gun and you have a gun and they run, I mean, they had a gun, bro. Like, I think most people would, and we're gonna get to a story about that soon. Chokeholds are prohibited. They must report each and every individual stop they make of a person of interest, right? So if they suspect anyone, these, kind of like the old stop and frisk. But if let's say you match someone's profile, they're gonna have to make a report about stopping you about the situation, right? When they write this report, they have to put down what your race is, your gender, and your ethnicity, right? Which I know for most of us, a lot of the time, what exactly is which anymore, but that's the point. So that when they're going to actually have to talk to you about these things and put it in the report. So this way, if they see this cop stopping a lot of black people or people whose gender may not be what it seems to be, or if your race is, you know, unidentifiable and whatever, they're racially ambiguous, or if you're specifically of a certain race, and they see individual cops stopping certain people more than less, they have the ability to start investigating the whys. Is it that in this particular area, a bunch of the posters are mostly this, that? There's now reason and then explanations, and it will all be public information. So all these cops' records will be out there to the utmost, right? But like I said, there's more to it, but the best part is that they will automatically be facing criminal charges. That's great. That's great. But I know a lot of my stuff may seem one-sided for, you know, pro-black and everything, and as it should. Damn it, I'm black. I'm a black male. Like, this is my problem. Legit, my problem. There's some stuff that happened in Michigan recently. Both incidents happened in Detroit. So the first one is a bit more in a gray area, right? So a couple in Detroit has been charged with criminal charges. I think they had to pay out $10,000 on bail each. But what it is that they pulled out their licensed armed weapon on a mother and daughter in front of a Chipotle, right? Now, according to the wife in this particular situation, she's the one who pulled out the gun on the black mother, and what had happened was this all started because they bumped each other upon entering and exiting the Chipotle. Like real dumb. Now where the video starts, according to the wife, now not the two black people, but the wife, is about 40 seconds into the incident. I watched a 3-minute and 58-second video of this, right? They're in the middle of the argument already. What I can tell you is the white lady tried to say she wasn't racist. Her dumb ass said that racist or white people aren't racist, which, I mean, just I know what you were going for, but you don't say that because it's wrong. And there's a lot of back and forth, but she walked away from the situation initially and walked into the vehicle, even rolled up the window. The husband then physically seems to be trying to intimidate the black lady, which, if anybody knows, you don't step up to an already yelling, angry black woman and expect it to scare her. Even if she can't scrap, she's going to talk and act as if she can. It's just an aggressive move. You don't posture to somebody already posturing. You just don't do it. It's stupid. So now they're having words back and forth, and eventually he goes into the vehicle. Now, the video that I saw is from the cell phone of, I believe, the daughter. And at one point, it looks like the situation might be over. They're in the vehicle. They're trying to back up. They're still screaming. The girl's constantly saying ignorant, ignorant, ignorant. And honestly, if you listen to the white lady before she enters the vehicle, other than saying white people aren't racist, she was literally saying, one's accusing the other of bumming each other, and nobody's saying sorry and yada yada yada. But she's literally saying, "I care for you. I'm not racist. I care for you," and rolls up the window. When the guy's heading to the car and is about to back up, the daughter drops the phone, and is just saying ignorant, walking. You're getting mostly camera footage of nothing actually happening. I don't know if the black lady tried to stop the vehicle going away, because it made no sense as to how the car may or may not have hit her. And at the same time, the white lady said she felt threatened and attacked. Now, the video doesn't show this. Maybe there's another camera or angle or whatever. And these guys are facing criminal charges, which is why I want to be kept, my mind open. Because in order to convict someone, it has to be without a shadow of a doubt that they committed the crime. Just a bit of doubt, and they're going to get off, right? And I have to think fairly in this particular situation. She's completely wrong for pulling out a weapon on someone who was unarmed. Even if you feel threatened. She did not shoot anyone, to her credit. The gun is supposed to be used to scare people, in a sense. But She literally gets out the vehicle, pulls out a gun, and points it at the mother, telling her husband to call the police. That gray area there is where she and the husband may get off. I'm just saying that now before anyone get rabble. The video that I saw, like I said, there may be other camera footage. I do not know how it seems that the black lady and the car may have almost bumped each other. It doesn't make sense from the positions where they were before the daughter goes off walking around in circles saying ignorant. It's about a 3-minute 48 video. You can probably find it in your first Google search. But it's a couple in Detroit taking out their weapon on a mother and daughter. Same city, a few days later, right? Black people throwing stones and objects and whatever at a cop making an arrest. Sounds very open and shut, right? Cop must be using excessive force, this, that, and the third, yada, yada, yada. And when you see the first couple videos, that's what people are seeing, right? Because what they're capturing is that a black man got shot and the cops are arresting another man. And it looks bad. It looks very bad. And the fact that it looks bad is exactly why you're going to have these slower police times, besides all the new steps they must take to respond to something in the first place. So that's why I'm bringing this up. When the cops finally release the cameras, right? So for cops who don't think that the cameras are going to help them, because the cameras are going to show when you're being a jerk ahead of time and thus get the reaction that you get, as if you're antagonizing people to do something. That's what the camera's going to show too, just so you're aware. But in this case, the camera covers your butt, which is why the force is actually pro-camera. Because whether or not you're antagonizing someone, once they do assault you, you're allowed to do what you do. Let's just be real about it. So, the cops are going to arrest a man. I don't know the full story as to the why. I just watched the footage, right? And they go to arrest a man. They have a warrant for an arrest, whatever the case may be. So they go to arrest a guy. His friend is talking about, oh, no, you're not arresting my boy, da, 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 da. Pulls out a gun on the cops. You see the smoke of like a shot or two go off, and then you see the cops shoot back and take him out and continue their arrest before people start to attack the cops. People, if you didn't see the situation at the start, just hit the record button. There's no reason to get involved. Anyone, this isn't just black people, but people. You don't know the full story, don't act like you do. This isn't the first video that's like that. People will copy and paste and cut and whatever. Like, remember when everybody was talking about how, like, oh, Kanye said being slave was a choice. How many people were rabbling until they saw the full video and they were like, oh, I get what he was going for. He poorly worded himself. Kanye himself even apologized for poorly wording it. Because what he was talking about more so was the mindset than actually being in shackles. You know what I'm saying? And he understood where he went wrong and they hugged it out and everything. Because everybody wants to make clips the way that they want to see it. They want the story to spin. You know, the same way that if you watch the Trump video, right? And of course, Kanye Trump, of course. But no, watch the Trump video talking about, oh, Trump told people that they need to inject Lysol. That's not what he did. Trump made no statement. Watch the actual video. And Trump was asking the doctors questions, even forgetting that there was a camera there. Were this the time to ask the questions? No. But it's a lie to say that Trump was telling people to do it. He wasn't doing it. He was inquiring why it can't be done. Why it can't be done. Like, even acknowledging the fact they shouldn't do it. Or why has no one suggested it yet? That's what he's doing. He's asking questions. Don't just take part of a clip. You know, if you're someone who sees this going on and you don't know what the full story is, hit the record button, because who knows what you'll capture. Who knows what you may find by the end of things that will show what happened, right? Everybody who caught the George Floyd incident, right? They were recording not the entire thing, right? There was a street cam that caught everything. Somebody was able to get a video of the last like 8-9 minutes, and there were a bunch of people there recording. But you see what I'm saying? But there's a whole 20-minute video that's out there. So record your 8 to 9 minutes. You see what I'm saying? Everybody there caught the part that really like grasped the nation. There was the other camera that caught what led to the conviction. You get what I'm saying? That's how that works. So do your part, but there's no reason to assault the cops there because all you're doing is the possibility of you being the next victim at that point. So for your own safety, be smart about it. And in this particular case, the cops are right to shoot that dude because he shot first. He pulled out a gun and he shot first. They didn't shoot him when he was reaching for something. They were continuing with their arrest. Understand that. They didn't shoot him when he reached for something. How many? And they would have been justified in this case because he had the weapon on him. So just think about that. Before these cops got assaulted by all these people, they were focusing on the single arrest they were supposed to be doing. All the way through to the point that they risked their lives doing it because no one was paying attention to this man who pulled out a weapon and shot on them. They shot back and then people attacked them. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, exactly. The people are on a wave right now and the cops are bad. And I get it. Believe me, I get it. But there's a way to handle things. Hit the record button. That's all you got to do. And when they ask for evidence, submit what you have. That's all you can and should be doing. All right? We're going to go to our next break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about media. And we're going to get to our movies. All right? Charles, take us away.
Hello, I'm Charles Alorman. I'm proud to announce the new internet television station called LDM Network. And on this station, we're going to be bringing you live talk shows, music reviews, independent music artists, videos, sports, live events, and much, much more. Go to www.ldmnetwork.net for more information and all the shows that are going to be on this network. Again, that's www.ldmnetwork.net. And hey, if you are an independent artist or you love to hear independent music, go to our new radio station called LDM Radio. Go to www.ldmradio.com for more information on where to listen or submit your music.
And we're back. So, a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm gonna hop on something real quick. Biden and Bernie were doing a video the other day, pretty much talking about creating student loan forgiveness, right? And though Biden isn't as radical as Bernie about like let's just make it so nobody pays nothing, there's some stuff in there for student loan forgiveness for teachers. For current students, a COVID-19 loan for full forgiveness on anybody who's been having to pay stuff for now. Especially the people who got sent back home and had to finish school online. A lot of it. So you may want to check and look into that. It's part of his proposal, something that he wants to do going into the presidency. That they're even bringing up in Congress now before he may win the position. So just look into that. It's some interesting stuff there. And a lot of it very plausible under Biden's actual kind of guidance of Bernie's theory. You know what I'm saying? Bernie had the Excalibur idea and Cuomo had to be like, we got to make this actually work for the state. And it got done. It got passed. And now that's the thing, a program in New York State. And that's something that they're thinking about bringing nationwide and student loan forgiveness along the way. Trying to figure out a way to make schools free for people, college free, because it's becoming a necessity in this country to have the paperwork to have a living wage. So how do we make it accessible for everyone, even the people who normally couldn't afford it? So something, there's some good stuff happening over there. But yeah, some fun media notes to make. There's a new live action Constantine that's supposed to be headed by J.J. Abrams. The project's in the works. They're still doing casting and writing of the script, but that early production phase, it's a thing, and you have a director signed on to it of note. And there's just no word on whether or not Keanu will be in the movie. People love Constantine and have, especially, after that movie, it got mixed reviews from comic fans. But the resurgence of Constantine got his own TV show for a while. People really loved the actor, so they moved him to the CW Arrowverse. A couple of animated movies have been made for the Justice League involving Constantine. So they're riding a wave right now as him being a popular character and maybe someone who can revitalize all of the DC brand. That's what that's going to be. Who knows if they're going to plan it to kind of help in the reboot of Justice League even. So yeah, just stay tuned on that. Some fun stuff in media. Tiffany Haddish and Chingy had an affair last year, some nonsense, right, in 2019 supposedly. What? And first off, I'm like, I couldn't even think of the last time I've heard of Chingy, right? Like, what was that song, Right Thur? I like the way you do that, Right Thur, Right Thur. Like, that joint was, what, 2003 or something? Like, I know I was like, I might have been double digits when that song came out. But supposedly they had an affair, and Tiffany Haddish said that it happened. And so Tiffany Haddish is the bigger name in this, right? And she admitted that she had a one-night stand with Chingy. Which, okay, I don't know why, but she did. And she did it with Chingy saying it didn't happen. Like, Chingy, I gotta give Chingy clout that he didn't try and use this to build himself up. Right? He was like in complete denial, like, nah, I didn't do that with the grapefruit girl. I didn't do it. He legitimately said after denying it so long, he wanted to know the truth, and he remembered that he was with his brother that night. So supposedly his brother was the one to confirm it by saying, yeah, she had a friend, we were at some place, I had the friend, you had her, we went to separate rooms, and we did what we did. And so Chingy's just like, so I guess it happened. He's just like, I was so drunk. And especially at that time, he was at a low, supposedly, and he was drinking a lot. He's like, that whole thing is like a bowling ball. So I guess I did. Like, he's like, I was so black out, I have no recollection. But if my brother said I did it, and she said I did it, I guess I did it. So that's a little bit of fun news there. But on the opposite side of that, Jada was in an entanglement? No. So Jada and Will really sit down and talk about this August nonsense. August Allison or something like that. Sounds like a really bad character from the Chronicles of Narnia. He's a friend of their son, and when her and Will were on a split and yada yada yada, they had a relationship, or I guess technically an entanglement of sorts. This was one of the most awkward and funny internet news things I've heard ever. I think the best meme was just like a picture of T.I. like, damn. And it's just like when she said entanglement before T.I. could. I just found it funny because that dude has his own dictionary. But first off, I don't believe any of this. You know, black women don't cheat, right? Who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? I know there are people right now who are just like, oh, how could she take advantage of this little boy and all this nonsense. Look, here's the fact of the situation. Jada's a grown person. Homie is grown-ish. You know, her and Will weren't technically together. I would be wrong in going ham and chastising Jada right now for what happened, when I know personally I'd be trying to defend the dude by saying they were on a break. Jada and Will were on a break, right? But for every woman out here who's using that argument, remember that the next time that you and homie are on a break and you find out that on said break he slept with someone, and that's why you're mad, that's exactly why the whole world is doing a shitstorm at Jada right now, right? People are trying to say, oh, well, they were swingers, so why does it matter? Because swingers, polyamorous couples, they have sets of rules to their relationship. It sounds like they were on a break, they were supposed to be dating, and what Will's mad about is not that she slept with someone new or that she went on dates with different people, but that in an attempt of saying we need space, but hopefully we end up back together, right? She got into a whole entanglement, a whole relationship, which he does get her to say right after entanglement. She admits to being in a relationship with this boy, right? So more so for me than even the predator thing, which, you know, everybody's going to spin their story their way. You can make anyone a victim or a villain. The boy agreed to it. The boy was with it. The boy was going off to different shows, and you're saying she took advantage of his mindset, whatever. He was with it, okay? They did what they did, but they did it, and it wasn't agreed with Will that it should be done. It wasn't like when they took their break, it was expected, though, that they can date other people to such a degree, right? And in general, most swinging couples or polyamorous couples that are getting into this so open polygamy and, you know, what do they call it, morally polygamous or whatever that nonsense is, right? When you're introducing a new long-term partner to this sort of thing, your partner is supposed to be made fully aware and you know, kind of give the consent to it, right? It sounds like that didn't happen. It sounded like this happened underneath his nose. And the other issue, which some people are making the claim right now, that for me, that's besides the point, but it was to someone that was supposed to be like family, but not just to her, but to both of them. And everybody knows if you're going to do your dirt, you don't do it with somebody who's family. Be it blood or not, when they're family, they're off the list, right? Like, that's what makes it really extra. Like, that's the type of thing that's going to get you stabbed and shot. When it's with a family member. You might get a smack across the face if it's some random girl, but if it's the sister, you're getting stabbed and shot, right? If it's the brother, you're getting stabbed and shot. Like, we already know what it is. Somebody going to do it. If it's not the person, somebody that else is in the family is going to do it. It's just what it is. That was where it was messy. But this is becoming a hilarious meme across the internet, and I think some people have found a way to change their relationship status to entanglement. Right? I think you know, now it's gonna be the word of the year, right? I think I know my friend Rebecca posted that we've learned 3 words this year: quarantine. What was it? It was quarantine. It was pandemic, and then now entanglement. But yeah, so that sort of thing. So hopefully, this can stay on a more jovial note. I know personally, I think why Black America and Black Twitter is so upset about it is that Will and Jada were always meant, you know, to be like that long time Black pinnacle love nonsense, and so we don't talk too much about their swinging and this and that, whatever, even though it's been made very fully aware. Because here's my thing: if you're making the polygamous couple a standard of glory of Black love, y'all, some of y'all might want to be more with it. Same. But you know, now all that's left without Will and Jada is Jay-Z and Beyonce. So people are very disappointed.
They got a meme, I'm put it up right now, called Entangled, you know, the cartoon, and they got all 3 of them.
Oh no. They Disney'd them. They Disney'd them. But yeah, so that's been something fun I've been following on the internet.
And it's in Spanish.
Oh, I got one of Jada in that, but it's an anime one. I'll be posting that up later. Yeah. But in more lighter news, as if it can't get funnier, honestly, a congressional candidate, since I mentioned Beyonce, his name is K.W. Miller. He's running for congressman in Florida. He went out and said that Beyonce is actually an Italian lady named Anne-Marie Lastrasi, and she made the motion video or whatever that is as a Satanist like code thing for people to mobilize and all this stuff. And I was just like, dude, what? Like, why is some guy who's running for political office questioning someone's race? That obviously, like, people have been following Beyonce since she was a teenager, right? And as a teen, how many people have seen the children photos, the family photos, stuff with Kelly and all that, right? We know both her parents are Black as hell. But no, Beyonce is really an Italian lady with some completely else name. And, I mean, it would have to take someone from Florida to bring all this nonsense up. And then supposedly that she made a music video that was supposed to be some sort of satanic. Where do you get this stuff from? I love it. It is hilarious, but where? Like, this is just something, like, you can look and find the tweets about it. He was so serious, too. He was like, she just said these Satanist churches from Georgia and Louisiana was where the videos were taken and all. Like, bro. And you think this is going to help you win the campaign? First off, Florida, really. Like, process. You got to get your peoples, because Florida is just a state that's doing all sort of stuff right now. Like, you need to go, you know, shoot an email or send a letter or something, you know, maybe one of those Harry Potter owls so people think it's cool, and like talk to your state, bro, because Florida really, like, this should not be the best of you. You feel me? Someone running for office really coming with Twitter. when you follow the president's examples, right? But yeah, so that was one of the stories this week that made me very, very amused, and like really just I still can't believe that's a thing, right? Just okay. And last but not least, what I wanted to get to, and also Beyonce related news, is that they are talking about whether Beyonce was going to be Storm in the new Black Panther movie, right? And we know that she signed a Marvel contract, but right now is a big rush. Like and a push from Janelle Monáe herself, which I'm very interested as to why she took this upon herself, but she's actually asking for the role of Storm. Which I don't know if it's a good thing, like if she's asking to switch it up because so many people were complaining it could be Beyonce, and we still don't know what Beyonce's role is. Or is it because the role is still vacant and Beyonce is just going to be featured in the movie kind of for like 5 seconds like she was in The Lion King? Who knows? Now, I'm getting a lot of mixed opinions on this, right? A lot of people were just like, I don't think Janelle should do it. Look, the other campaign I'm hearing right now is Zendaya to be, you know, the girl that has to fight Uma Thurman in Kill Bill 3. I love you, Zendaya. You're absolutely beautiful. I think you're a great actress. But I do not see you squaring up with Uma Thurman and even standing a chance at winning. Like, I'm not going to watch a 2-hour movie just to follow you to look awkward fighting and then get your butt whipped in the end. I'm not doing it. It's not even a skinny thing. Uma was skinny when she was in Kill Bill. But when she fought, it didn't look so awkward. She has an awkward build, but the way that they choreographed her and that she learned the movements, it looked real enough. Like, you're gonna have to give me someone that can do it. Now, if you remember the premise of the possible Kill Bill movie is that the daughter of Vivica A. Fox, who was the first one killed by, you know, the bride, sees her as she kills Vivica A. Fox. That girl is the same actress from The Hate U Give. Now, honestly, that girl, though shorter, significantly shorter, and shorter than Uma Thurman, in fact, has a bit more badassery to her. That if you and her build is a better frame. That if I see her fight Uma Thurman, win or lose, I believe she stands a better shot. Like, that fight would be good. So why not just keep the original actress? Why not find me somebody who is an unknown, so that way we're not, you know, going for someone's name, is an unknown. Uma Thurman's still the banner, right? And have them, because they can fight. I want to see a good fight. Kill Bill was a really great movie with really good action and very memorable moments. Kill Bill 2, meh. And the worst part was the last fight wasn't that great of a fight. It made sense. You know, they built the story around this 5-hit technique, and she does it. Okay. But the third movie is a quest for revenge. It should be done in a very typical Chinese movie, like kung fu flick kind of parody kind of a thing, with actually good fighting. That's all I'm asking for. Because we all know it won't live up to Kill Bill 1. No matter how well they do it, it won't live up to Kill Bill 1. So the least I ask for from you, Quentin Tarantino, besides your usual great scripts, as far as the comedy writing, I just want to see a good fight. So give me somebody who can pull it off. That's all I'm asking. I don't think that's too much. I'm not asking you to make another hit. I'm asking you to give me some violence. Just keep the same little girl. Don't make it Zendaya. That's all. Please don't do it. I love her. She's beautiful. Put her in all the different. Just not that. No fighting roles. Keep her as Mary Jane in Spider-Man. That's it. All right. That's all I ask of you. Okay. And for the Sabrina fans from Netflix, the last 8 episodes will be the last. It's been canceled. Usually what happens after a bad musical episode. But, they've been canceled, so these last 8 will be the last to the series, all right? Now, let's get to some stuff that you should be watching and shouldn't be watching. So, first, on HBO Max, there is a new kids game show called Karma. It will remind you of the old kids show that used to be on NBC called Endurance. Discovery Kids had a bunch of these type of shows. Nickelodeon tried doing them, but they were all studio shows. This one is actually done with children living in the wilderness. They shortened it to about 8 episodes, so this way there's not much of what happens beyond the competitions. We are talking about minors here, so you don't need to find out if anything does or doesn't or what. But it's pretty interesting. The challenges are actually, pretty cool. These kids are working in teams of 2 to try and see who can collect the most medallions and solve a puzzle at the end for $50,000. Plain and simple. I don't want to give stuff away, but from the beginning of the show, a lot of things just go like all the way left. It's pretty funny. The kids are very memorable, actually. They really are. I was quite surprised that each kid has something very uniquely, like a moment they were able to really shine. So that was well done by the crew for making that happen. But I got to give this show a 3.5 out of 5. I feel like if you have HBO Max, give it a watch. It's definitely worth it. You don't just have to watch all the old movies that you've already seen in theaters and on various other networks as well. Another thing off of HBO Max, a Black Lady sketch show. There are tons of sketches. Some of them are continuous throughout the series. The continual sketches are probably the better ones, I will say. They build upon each other pretty damn well. One that I vividly remember is the post-apocalyptic girls' party. Yeah, that's a sketch. But there are various ones in here. Some of them are misses, but all in all, I give this a 3.5 out of 5. Meaning, I think you should watch it. I'm just not sure the comedy is going to hit to everyone the same because A, you're not a woman, and not everybody is also black. So but some of it is really cool. There's a really good one that looks like an episode of Outer Limits where they get trapped in a black-owned diner. Watch it. Tell me what you think. I think this show is really good, really funny. And a lot of familiar faces if you do watch other HBO series, especially those that involve black people. And last but not least off of HBO Max is I May Destroy You, right? And it's the story of a writer in England who has quite the interesting life, right? It can't quite call it a slice of life story, but essentially she's figuring some things out about herself and dealing with some personal situations, and a lot of the people around her are as well. This is one of those shows that feels like a typical HBO kind of like offbeat comedy a lot of the time, but talks about a lot of serious issues. It's definitely another show that kind of has that Insecure feel, but not as focused of a storyline. It's really good, and I think the best part about it is literally the music, right? They have a really interesting, eclectic soundtrack that I think a lot of people are going to find some songs they never heard before, find some songs that they really like. I'm starting to build up a little bit of collection of the different songs from the episodes. Like, it's really cool. So I suggest it for a lot of people. And the lead actress on the show is from the show Chewing Gum, which was another one of these offbeat BBC's comedies that was a bit more lighthearted. This is the darker side of the same actress, and I think it's really dope. I think she's amazing at what she does, and I would love to see more series and more of this series from her. I would love if they bring back Chewing Gum, to be honest with you. On Netflix, we have a couple different things. So first is The Old Guard. I got to give it a 3 out of 5. It is the story of some immortals who have good things to do with their eternal life. That's the best way to put it without giving away too much. Essentially, they pick up a new recruit, and they have some bad guys they got to take care of. Very simple, very basic storyline. However, the pacing on this is a bit slow. That's all. It takes a while for stuff to happen, and the stuff that happens are in very short bursts. I even had some complaints about the action scene from other people, so not the greatest response. But I give it a 3 out of 5. I feel like there's a lot of good in this. They have it leading into a new series or a new movie, who knows. And the actual sequel project, the way that they ended things, looks like it could actually be something better. So perhaps this is just an introduction, which is why I say give it a shot. You may need it for the series or the movie that will be valid. There was a stand-up that recently dropped called Jim Jeffries Intolerant, that I feel people should watch. Jim Jeffries is from the Oceania continent with his heavy accent, making fun of everybody else's theories and accents and thoughts, and in typical comedian form, calling out people for calling out comedy. A lot of this is hit and miss. He will offend you at some point, and I'm okay with that because he literally tells you, well, if you don't like it, you don't like it. The comedians are meant to go there, right? Where no one else is supposed to go, they are supposed to go there. He admits to liking and disagreeing with Dave Chappelle's stand-up, and he said the parts that bothered me, I just forget about them. You know, and that's how we have to approach comedy, right? They're trying to make everyone laugh. Guess what? You don't agree with everyone, so they got the harder job here. But I give it a 3.5 out of 5 because I already know, especially with the way this age group of people are, you're gonna be offended. But watch the entire thing, okay? And you're gonna find parts that you absolutely love and parts that you hate. And maybe if you watch the entire thing instead of just canceling it midway through, you may learn, oh, okay, not everything is as bad as I think it is. And last but not least, before we go and do our Friends of the Week real quick, is The Protector Season 4. It looks like it's the end of everything. You never know with this show because as far as I'm concerned, they still have the darkness left. And since it's a popular series, they may find a way to continue things. But this wraps up Hakan's story with the Immortals. And in all honesty, the beginning's a little slow, and which is why I give it a 4 out of 5. But the ending was definitely didn't see it coming. Like it literally took until the scene, or like say 3 minutes before the ending or the ending scenes that you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna have to, that sort of a thing. So when you're watching this, it really is a good story build. It really is a good finale for the story of Hakan and the Immortals. Again, it seems like everything is wrapped up. But I'm telling you, if logically, this is a very popular show. Logically, they do have another storyline to go. And we see this done with anime all the time, especially just take, for instance, old Digimons that have popped up on Hulu. There's always that first bad guy and then the real big bad afterwards. There's a real big bad in this series that they tell you from the beginning. We haven't gotten into that yet. So if they want to bring it back, they can. But before we go, we're going to run through our Fans of the Week real quick. Give a shout out to our fans. So first out off, do you have Tara? So Tara Moreno. Oh. You got the wrong list, my friend. Should be Tara Moreno, Orlando Zavala, Action Jackson, and I Love Yellow. Those should be the 4 names that we have for this week. All right. Yeah, Tara Moreno, Orlando Zavala, Action Jackson, and I Love Yellow. Right? Those are our 4 fans. And our 2 pictures of the week. One is what we think the cast of the next Fantastic Four could be if they do it with all black people, and it's pretty much the cast of Atlanta and a pretty valid villain from another show. I love it. I think that those 4 quirky personalities and builds actually fit for a cast for Fantastic Four. I know a lot of blurs would be in support of it. Let's see if Hollywood wants to make an all-black Fantastic Four movie. Comic fans, they won't complain if they're all black. Put it to you that way. They just don't want an unnecessary black character. That's really going to be the biggest complaint. If they're all black, they're just doing a black version of this. Yeah. But at least it's a black version of it, like in entirety, all right? And the last thing is essentially Adult Swim is making fun of the Confederacy, right? They're just naming all the shows that they've had that have lasted longer than the actual Confederacy. The people who claim that it's such a big heritage and this, that, and the third. Bro, your heritage, your history, and what represents the South is younger than the freaking Boondocks as far as time lasted. All right? So on that note, this has been another episode of Will's Review, and I will catch you guys next time.